Good morning. We'll be taking notes today on the pork industry. Pork is often referred to as the other white meat, and there's kind of an interesting story as to why. So in the late 70s, early 80s, there were a few medical reports that came out by the Attorney General that said one of the main causes of high blood pressure and heart attacks was red meat. Now, we know later that it's really the overconsumption of red meat that causes that problem, that red meat in moderate quantities is actually quite healthy for you. Whatever the case, at that point in time, we saw huge dips in both the beef and the lamb industries because of the red meat. We saw huge uptick in chicken and turkey because they were white meat and thought to be a little bit more heart healthy. Now, pork was in an interesting situation. Pork is a red meat. This is the color of the meat. However, what happens to pork when you cook it? It kind of turns white in color. And that just has to do with the chemical makeup of the meat. They started marketing themselves as the other white meat. And so it actually helped tremendously. They didn't see quite the dip in sales that beef and lamb did. Now, if you really look at the scientific data, pork is not dramatically healthier than the other two red meats. All meats are healthy in moderation. We could go over and over the science and the health piece of that, but I want you to just be aware that pork definitely used that marketing piece very well. Now, the main purpose behind the production of pigs, which we call swine, is to produce pork for human consumption. Pork has several byproducts that are really high quality. Some of you may have once in your life said you were going out to throw the pig skin. Footballs are typically covered in leather made from pork. Many of you, like me, have a serious addiction to bacon. That's a very popular product from pork. So pork is a really important part of our food industry. There are a few terms we want to review, but I think these are probably pretty well ingrained into your brain, that a boar is a male pig that's not castrated. It can be either young or mature. A barrow is a male pig that is castrated, and the real purpose in doing that is to keep the quality of the meat high and free from excessive hormones. We know that a sow is a female that is mature and has already produced a litter of baby pigs or piglets, and a gilt is a female pig that has not produced a litter of piglets yet. Now, this picture off to the right, I want you to start kind of noticing the pictures, because throughout this slideshow, I'm going to show you some pictures of a piglet or piglets in a farrowing crate. That is a farrowing crate. Now, we'll talk about what farrowing crates are and why they're controversial, but first I got to tell you about this little piglet. One of my best friends raised pigs for a while right out of college, and this was actually only one of 8 piglets that survived out of a whole litter. So pigs have litters. They reproduce and have multiple eggs fertilized. And it can actually be from different males if they are bred by different boars. It's very similar to how dogs reproduce, right? They have a litter of puppies. If the female dog is bred by multiple male dogs, all of those puppies might have different markings and different breeds even. Whatever the case, out of all the piglets that developed, this is the only one that lived. And so she would send me a lot of pictures of him. He was very small for his age. It was kind of a surprise that he lived at all. But he is in a farrowing crate. Before we talk about farrowing crates, though, let's talk about certain breeds of pigs. And this is the part I want you to record on that table in your notes. The first breed we want to look at is the Duroc breed. Duroc pigs actually originated in the New York, New Jersey area of the United States. They have droopy ears. Lots of times we identify pigs by whether their ears flop down or stand up. Duroc pigs are kind of cherry red in color. They have a large frame. And this breed is what we call a terminal breed, meaning they're very high quality meat, and to raise them for meat is their main purpose. The mothers are very good mothers. They raise large litters. They're a pretty popular breed. Have you been to the county fair? Lots of times you will see Duroc pigs or Duroc crosses shown in the county fair because they produce a high quality carcass, and that's really the goal of those livestock shows. Questions on the Durocs? So on your notes, you got to have the origin down. I would put as one of the characteristics that they have droopy ears, and then that bright cherry red color. Yes?
We had a Duroc one time that had a litter of 15 babies.
That's a big litter for a Duroc.
Yeah, it was crazy, and she didn't really feed all of them, but I bottle fed most of them, and her babies got really big, and then they passed on generation. They kept on producing and fast, so all of our Duroc pigs because we had so many.
Really?
Yeah, we have 15, so we sold 6 of them. So we had 9 left, and we had them all.
That's a lot of pigs.
Here, one pigs, and the rest of those 9. Butchered 3 of them and got rid of the others because there's too many pigs.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
What an experience. Okay, next we're going to go through the Hampshire breed. In the U.S., we first saw the Hampshire breed around in the Kentucky area. But in its most basic origins, it actually came from England. And you've heard me say this before in the sheep unit, that in Old English, the term shire is kind of like town. So Hampshire might be kind of like Hamptown. In Old England, that area produced a lot of the base genetics we use in animal agriculture. So we have Hampshire sheep and Hampshire pigs. Hampshire sheep look different than the pigs. That seems like a dumb thing to have to say, but you got to create some separation there in your brain. Hampshire pigs have that white belt across the top, including the front legs. They have ears that stand up or are called erect, and they have an excellent carcass. They are known to be a meat breed, so they produce really high quality pork. Have you seen a Hampshire pig before?
Yeah.
They're a pretty popular breed.
My aunt owns 4, and they always get out. So every time this summer I went to her house, we built a big pen. Every single time.
Every time our hamsters got out, one of them, they always just hop on and ride them.
I have had pigs before, and it does seem like pigs get out more than many animals. They like to wander, and they root at things, and they can break things pretty easy. Next breed we're going to look at is the Berkshire. It's always at this point that usually somebody kind of giggles about the testicles on this pig. When you look at diagrams or pictures of breed type, oftentimes they're intact males. Anybody know why? Haley?
They look bigger and chunkier.
It actually has nothing to do with looks and everything to do with genetics. So remember how we've said earlier that if you want to change the genetics of your herd, the easiest way to do that is with a bull or a ram, because they breed multiple females, so they will pass on those genetics through your herd. Same thing with pigs, right? If you want to increase the meatiness of your pig, you're going to be careful what male you breed the female to. And so anytime we look at breed type or what's good about a breed, they're almost always looking at an intact male because that's how you would change your herd. The Berkshire pig, to be true Berkshire, has to have 6 white points on it. So they have to have white on their snout, on the bottoms of each leg, on the tip of the tail. And if it's missing one of those, it's usually not a full-blood Berkshire. Now, I always have to chuckle about Berkshire because the way I identify them is, to me, it looks like somebody photoshopped their snout and made it shorter than normal. They kind of typically have a little shorter snout and look a little bit more compressed. But they are black with those 6 main points. Yes?
I want to ask, if it has more than 6 points?
It's usually then crossbred. So we see a ton of crossbreeding throughout all of animal agriculture, and that's because we sometimes get better results when we cross 2 breeds. It's called hybrid vigor. We don't have time today, but remind me tomorrow and I'll teach you hybrid vigor. Next is a Yorkshire. Yorkshire is a breed that we often call the mother breed. So the Yorkshire breed originally came from England and has ears that stand up or are erect. It's all white. And they are known to have the largest litters of pigs, so we sometimes call them the mother breed. They usually feed all their piglets. They're very productive. Because of that trait, we often cross a Yorkshire with something that is known for a phenomenal carcass. Most common cross you'll probably see is the cross of a Hampshire and a Yorkshire. They end up being a white pig with those kind of bluish, blackish speckles right here on the rump, and they call them a blue buck. It's not actually blue, not like the color of that cup blue, but it's like a blackish, brownish, bluish color, and so in animals we term that blue. So blue butt is a super common cross that has the good carcass from Hamps, the good tendencies from Yorks. Christy? The meat quality on a Yorkshire is kind of a medium meat quality. And that's actually one of the reasons why they might cross them with a breed that might have a little higher meat quality. I believe it's the last breed we're going to look at today. This is the Landrace. Now, one can get really confused about the Landrace and the Yorkshire. Does anybody notice the main difference?
Their ears.
Their ears. So they're both white. They're both really long-bodied. But the Landrace has big floppy ears, and the Yorkshire has erect ears. The Landrace breed came from Denmark. It has a very long body. Now, why is that important? What else is long if the body's long? The loin. Why is it important if the loin is long? High priced quality cut. So it's really important that we keep our eye on the ball in agriculture and we know what our marketable products are. Yes, ma'am?
So would this be like a high meat quality?
Yep, Landrace is a high meat quality. This seems like a good stopping point because the bells are ringing. Do you have any questions about these breeds?
No.
Okay, have a good day.